I finally got an email that said it, but when I checked today.
Look forward.
Contract is full.
Thank you.
Okay, at 6:30, I call the meeting to order. You got anything on code enforcement?
Negative.
Radar signs, CAC grants, the street committee, I forget the whole name of the silly thing. Complete Streets Study. Is going to have a forum on September 7th to tell everybody about what's going on. There'll be representatives from Southwest Planning there also. Yeah, they have some good ideas. They have some that I don't agree with, but they have some good ones too. Okay, Rob, why don't you do your...
Okay, just quickly, we had an info session last night for Community Power. About 17 people turned up. There were a couple of questions about the big opt-in, opt-out issue, and do we have to give our Eversource account number to be able to opt out? And the reason is it's the only verification we have at the moment that someone is actually at that address. Otherwise, I could change your power. But if we have a special case like that, Andrew apparently can pull some strings and get the change made without the account number. No, that's number one. Number two, there are handouts here that Carol has. This is the handout that was given at the info session. And this is the card that we've had that shows the residential rates. And number three is the commercial rates are shown in the handout. And I've been working with Carol about whether we should renew the relationship with Standard Power, your broker now, or continue with CBC&H. And it looks pretty strongly that we should not renew with Standard Power and go with this. I think it'll be a lot cheaper. Yep. And the last piece of news for you is that Community Power recognises the concern that select boards have of not knowing year ahead fixed price. And so it's coming probably in December. There will be a year ahead fixed price for municipalities and other commercial accounts rather than variable rate.
Oh, cool. That'll make budgeting a lot easier.
That's it. So that's it for me. And any questions? Happy. Next info session is Saturday, the 6th of September at 10 a.m. Okay. And then we'll be there for Harvest Festival.
Okay, and yes, I said a minute ago that the street forum was the 7th. I'm not sure if it is or not. It's on the town calendar.
Yeah.
I think it's the 7th.
We should probably be early. Yeah.
Okay, why don't we do the school committee update next?
Oh, 51 hours. Okay, great. Wonderful. Wonderful. Okay. You all got our report, I believe, didn't you? Yes, we did.
Yes.
Thank you. I'll tell you, we are very excited about this because we think we actually may be able to do some good. You know, the costs of Conval just keep escalating up and up and up. And Prismatic did not analyze anything with the middle schools and the high school. And they're all underutilized. The high school is at, I have the percentage there, I gave them to you in the report. And the Great Brook is at 56%, South Meadow is at 67%. So our point is we've got to use those buildings more effectively. And what that does, the way we would do that is move 7th and 8th grade into the high school. And I'm sure that they can work out how that turns out to be educationally advantageous and whatnot. It may even be that we would move 6th grade up. That is all up to them. They could figure that out. But the result of doing that is, first of all, PES, Peterborough Elementary, which is our oldest elementary school, could be closed and the school itself be transferred into the South Meadow School building, which is a wonderful building. It's much more up to date and whatnot. And then they could gosh knows what they could do with that site. You know, it's a very valuable piece of land up there if they would do something with that. That also means that the Antrim Elementary School could also be transferred into the bigger Great Brook building, which is also a newer building. Seems like we're always having to do some sort of major repair to the Antrim Elementary. The gym, for example, I remember when I was on the school board, they kept saying that the gym has no foundation. We have to spend so much every year fixing it. And yet the Antrim Recreation Department might be interested in having that whole building. So there are a lot of possibilities that I think could happen here. So the savings would be that, first of all, we would close 2 buildings and use the existing buildings more effectively. The high school, for example, is our absolutely best building. You know, we added the food service a couple of years ago. It's got all those classrooms. It would be a great building for those children to be in. And if they say, well, we have to keep the middle school children separate, I'm sure they can do that. They can have a wing. They can figure out how to do that. It's not our job to tell them how to do that. We're simply saying, here is something that you really got to look at. You've got to look at a way to save costs. And so we're excited about doing that. So the first thing we need is to know whether you all like our report. And then secondly, we need to have some sort of sense of our next move. So would you share us some information on that? You have some questions on it. Pam is here. She and I are both co-chairs, and Carol has been our faithful recorder of all of our words forever. So, the only thing that is different is that Peter Allen told us at 5 o'clock that he did not want his name on it. So we're taking his name off. He said, I can't come to the meeting. We voted at our meeting to approve it. He said, I won't be there to vote it, so just take my name off. We said, fine. So his name will go off. No problem. So did you all have any questions about what we're trying to do here?
No, but I've got some comments.
What?
I have some comments.
Okay, do.
This is what should have been studied before. I mean, if the prismatic study was absurd,
Yeah, I agree.
but the school board has been refusing to look at any alternatives for whatever reason. Maybe this will get them moving, particularly given we have 2 towns that are threatening to withdraw from the district. Now, I'm on the withdrawal committee, official withdrawal committee, which is really complicated. Turns out withdrawing from the district is not simple. There are a bunch of legal issues that no one knows the answer to because the RSAs have been changed. So it's a bit of a mess. But what is clear is that Francistown is going to withdraw if they possibly can. They don't care what the school board says they're going to do, fix things. Their comment was, we don't trust them at all. Okay. Dublin is more up in the air. So it's probably too late to save Francistown leaving. I'm not sure about Dublin. But if the school board will get their act together and actually study these alternatives, I mean, fine, they're going to say, well, you know, the absolute best one financially was to close the elementary schools. Well, that's not going to fly. It saved no money anyway. And even assuming it is the best way, well, look at the second best way because you're never going to get the first best way passed. Anyway, that's my comments. Going forward, I think you ought to do 2 things. One is send in a condensed version or the whole thing in a condensed version to the paper like Francistown did in their article. That was very close to what they actually said in the meetings. And go to the school board meeting and say, hey guys, you know, unless you want Temple to be next, do something.
We actually wrote a possible cover letter. This is our main conclusion, which we were going to use to send to the other towns. And we could, we're not sure. We were thinking of sending right away the whole report to both Dublin and Princeton.
Microphone.
Because you all had asked us to do that.
Yeah, we'll leave that up to you, but I think that would be good.
Yeah, and so this is a possible cover letter which hits our main points. And if you want to give us some comments on that, you can do that later. But we could do that right away. And then there is a school board meeting next Tuesday. So we could, there are a couple of choices. We could say, we would like to speak in public comment and read a short version of, say, our cover letter, or we could ask to be on the agenda. I don't know what we should do. What would you think we should do?
Well, I think being on the agenda carries more weight.
Well, we can send them we can have the report ready to hand out.
Yeah, and you
Yeah.
can request to be on the agenda.
We should do
which-
that. We could do that, yeah. And then, you know, and hopefully we can get it printed in the newspaper and really start. I think that getting this discussion going is the important thing, you know, and we don't know that we have absolutely all of the right conclusions, you know, but I think we've got a lot of good ideas here.
Yeah.
Pam, you want to add to that? Because you want to add anything?
You don't have
Yeah.
to.
No, one comment playing off of what Bill had said about Francistown and Dublin leaving. One point to make is that should the school board make an end run again towards our elementary schools, we would, if Francistown and Dublin are given permission to leave, we would not have the votes from Francistown and Dublin to keep our small elementary school. They would not be voting on that warrant article.
Yes,
Should the school board make another end run?
that is a real danger.
So that's one concern.
Mm.
Other than that, our thought was that we would read this publicly if we're on the agenda at the school board, read it out loud. So that there's no questions what it is that we're asking.
Okay.
Let me say one more thing. I think that one possibility for us as our committee would be, once we've sort of made this big push with the report, is to have a town forum and let people come and tell us, hey, that's a great idea, or you didn't think of this, or that's a stupid idea. We want to withdraw. We don't want to withdraw. What are you thinking? You know, it'd be useful to get town input. And so that's a possibility that we would consider doing. You know, it's awful hard to get people to go to forums, you know how hard that is.
Although this
But,
has a lot of visibility in town. I mean, the whole school thing is a. big-
Yeah, so those are things that we have indeed been thinking of. Okay, well, thank you. Thank you for your input on this. George, when do you have a next meeting of your Selectmen's Advisory Committee?
I have not heard yet, but I would think it'd be the, at
Okay,
least the third Thursday of the month.
because we
So
could,
that would be September.
yeah, we could go to that and make a presentation there at that, you know, to get some feedback. We're very interested in my cover letter that we would send out. We asked people, we asked the other towns, we're very interested in your opinion. What do you think? We want to have some input from you. And I think, I know I'm willing to go to some of these other towns. I've certainly done that before and talk to their select boards and to answer questions. And I know Pam and other members of the committee would go as well. Okay, thank you. That's
Okay.
all I think we wanted to say.
I think thanks for all your work. And don't stop now. I think it's a virtual certainty Francistown will withdraw. They had a fantastic presentation. They have gone through all the financials. They know exactly what they're doing. Even if the district votes it down, they can have a town vote, and if it's a supermajority vote, they get to withdraw anyway, and they've got the votes to do that. Dublin, I'm not sure about. Dublin, if you remember back in the last voting, they were the lowest approval, lowest disapproval of the withdrawal thing. So anyway, that's all I've got to say on that. Hey, Ken, George, got any questions?
Has this been discussed or talked about through Antrim or Peterborough? Yes.
Yes. Have you
Well,
talked to Antrim or Peterborough about anything in this? Not yet?
Not yet.
Not yet, but we will. We will. Because they're the key ones, because they will be the most affected, obviously.
I mean, I'd
and
like to
I
see
would
what they
expect that-
say before I can sign on to this.
You know, I mean, this is important because Peterborough has 4 representatives and Antrim has 2. And Peterborough, the chair of the school board is now Dick Dunning, who worships the middle school concept, you know. But, you know, we have to start somewhere. Yeah, right.
Yeah, so before this goes to the newspaper or anything,
Yeah,
pass it by Antrim and, Francistown and Dublin. See what they have to say about it,
yeah.
and we'll go from there. That's probably the best place to start, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, Ken doesn't want to approve it until we get feedback from those two towns. So that would mean we'd have to wait till the next school board meeting after this one.
So you want us on the agenda for selectmen meetings in Antrim?
Or how would they
And
want to handle it?
Peterborough.
If they just want to have their committees review it, that's fine. Doesn't have to be a select board vote from those towns, but would like to know what they think about them and see if we're all in agreement. Because that was a key thing, is to be in agreement among the three towns about the general philosophy, other than just straight withdraw.
Well,
I mean, Peterborough's no big deal. I don't think it's a big deal to run from one school to the other.
Right.
But Antrim, we're closing them
Well-
down, so that's, I mean, we don't want us closed down. I'm sure they don't want their school closed down either.
Yeah, but they've got more than one school there. That's the difference. Right.
In other words, they're only closing, the
Yeah.
only,
Right.
Right.
yeah.
Right.
And it may be actually that the town of Antrim will be happy to have that building for their recreation. because
That's the
they
way to
use
sell it.
now
Yes.
For that purpose.
That's the
know.
way to pitch it, is look,
Yeah, so.
we've got a building here you
possibilities.
can use for
But
something
the
else.
basic answer to your question, Ken, is that we wanted to stop with you all first before we went to anybody else.
Right.
Yeah.
I
you
get that.
understand now.
All right, so go ahead.
What?
Go ahead and talk to the other towns. Gail, get your hearing aids? Apparently not. Okay, anything else on this? Or Rob, did you want to say something on this? Are we all set? You took the mic. I didn't know if you wanted
I
to.
was just helping to hold it, but I do have one thing. At the last meeting that Viv and I went to in the high school, I asked the question about how comprehensive the energy work was done on the schools. And they said, well, they've done LEDs in Temple Elementary. It's not true. If you go and you see, it's still old fluorescent, right?
Yeah.
So I think there's more that can be done on energy. That building's getting pretty old now. And my guess is that an energy retrofit would cut costs a lot there.
Okay.
Yeah. And if it comes around to it, I could help with that.
Okay. So we want to do the Stacey thing next, or you want to do the,
You ready? You want to wait?
Got my cheering squad here.
or the-
right.
Okay, well, she's next.
We'll do Stacy.
Okay. Yes, the Stacey thing.
Stacey thing.
This is a tax clerk software change. Go ahead.
Yes. So currently I have ClerkWorks, and it's a clunky, sort of outdated system that it's been hard to learn.
Okay.
What I'm asking or proposing is to go to Avatar so that I work the same as what Carol and Elizabeth use. I have worked I did a Zoom meeting for 2 hours with Patty Woolsey from there, and it is a magnificent system. She showed me, that's why I was on there for 2 hours. She showed me how easy things were, things that I can't do right now. Things like if somebody came in and said, I want to find out how much a transfer would be, I can't do that until I've actually gone through and processed the entire thing. So puts everything in a cart, like a shopping cart. I can edit them. I can't do that right now. The other thing is that it would allow me to have a lot of people at my disposal to help me. Right now I have one person.
Yeah.
That's the problem that I have. Just her. Let's see. I've talked to Ed about it as well. Ed has said that he's had trouble with ClerkWorks. He's also had problems in other towns that he deals with ClerkWorks. And he said it would be easier for him to have Avatar all the way around. I would go to Chichester for training with them. And then Patty would come here on a day that we decide, because it takes a month to bring over all of the state information. But Patty would stay with me the entire day.
Okay,
But then when I call, I would have 4 or 5 people. Now, the cost, yes, is not it's a lot. I did realize once I sat down that the other bonus to this would be I would be able to get you online. So people could, from their homes, do their cars for renewals and their dogs.
cool. Okay,
Right?
yeah.
That's missing from this proposal. So it would be $1,500 for that and $100 a month for the cloud. I can make sure that I get that to Carol, but here's a copy for Carol.
Okay, so that 1,500, that's a one-time fee?
The 1,500, I think, is a one-time fee. The $100 is every
It's
month.
the recurring
Yes.
cost, yeah.
But the cost to change over to Avatar is 14,900.
Wow.
Oh,
Okay,
Sorry, Gail. Yeah, it's,
that would have to be a warrant article.
okay. That's what I was here
Well,
for
we
to
could
see.
Build it into the budget. if
Well, that's, we
decide
usually,
that
you
we
know,
Want to change it.
over 10K, we usually do it as a warrant, it's an article, right? Well, Gail can't hear, so. Anyway, I'm not necessarily opposed to this at
Okay.
all. Yeah,
Yeah, because I'll be honest, it's a anxiety-driven thing right now. I called my one IT person and I got yelled at first off when she was on vacation because I called a different IT people to find out, if they could help me, and they ended up screwing it up anyways. And I came in on my day off, but she told me that there is a person in finance that can help me. And Elizabeth had said she had helped her before. That was one thing that she'd done before. But with Avatar, I'd have more people. That's the thing.
well, it's also a benefit to have everybody using
On
the
one
same
same system.
software.
Absolutely.
I don't know if there's any integration between them that you get a benefit from, other than we're dealing with one vendor.
Yeah,
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 okay.
yeah.
So,
The only issue I would have, and my husband's the one that brought this up, is what would I do if I do, I'm not opposed to a warrant article either, but what would happen from January to March? Because I do, my IT person contract is up in December.
yeah, well, so this is a problem because we don't have any money currently in the budget for
Mhm.
any of this.
Yeah, no, we knew that going in.
I would say, get the financials together,
Sure,
give them to the BAC,
okay,
and we'll pass the buck to
Yeah.
them.
yep, and see what they say.
Yep.
Well, we'll find a way to either fit it in the budget or do a warrant article, whatever we have to do
Okay,
to bring it up to
Yeah.
date. Because I think it would be most beneficial to have it all on one site versus the two. Do you have the current rate we're paying, Clerkworks?
I do. So right now, every year, last year I paid $2,147 for the subscription. I asked them what it would be this year, and he said it's gonna go up 3 to 10%.
Okay, so that's
couldn't give
more than
me-
the monthly fee for the new
Yes.
stuff.
And then, but this is, and then it's an additional $300 for the annual Blue Book value
Okay,
that they have to add on there.
all right.
There is an annual fee that would be comparable to that for Avatar also.
Sure.
that's after the first
And I
year.
think it's in the paperwork that I gave you. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
all righty. Sounds good to me.
okay. So go to the PAC.
Well, I have the basic question here of Avatar, which is that we're at the end of our 5-year assessing contract. And I personally think we need to get out bids for other assessors. And so I'm a little bit nervous. There are other companies that provide the services that you have, where you have the overall kiosk, I think they call it. Other towns have this, so it's not just Avatar that provides this, as I understand it. No, well,
Well, for the DMP side of this is what I'm talking about.
okay,
I can only have Clerkworks or Avatar,
okay.
or I can do it on whatever the system is.
Okay. Well, my only question is that I hope that the board is going to put out bids, ask for bids from other assessing companies. Because we spent, what, $35,000 at least, with a balloon at the end, which they didn't really make clear to us. And I think there are other companies out there that may be better at what Avatar does, and we need to investigate this.
So I'm talking to other towns that are using other auditing firms and also towns that are using Avatar and getting feedback. Now, this is another concern. We're already using the Avatar software
Yeah,
in multiple things. If there's a big conversion fee to go to somebody else and retraining fee and all that, that becomes a serious issue.
yeah.
But anyway, I'm researching it.
Okay, please look, at least that company that Peterborough uses, Corcoran or something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Yeah, I think that they're highly regarded and be worthwhile.
Yeah, I'm actually going to talk directly with them.
Okay.
I did actually send them an email asking if they would be interested in bidding and never got a response, but
Well,
you
it's a
know,
busy time of the year, you know? I mean,
Yeah.
everybody, I'm sure, is trying to do this right at the last minute.
yeah, I know one of the selectmen in Peterborough, and he said he'll put me in touch with their contact
Okay.
person if I
Okay.
want. So anyway,
Okay.
yes, I'm talking to the other.
Okay, because that's a big part of our budget. You know, we need to have bids from other companies before we just jump right into Avatar again. Good luck.
Thanks.
Okay, you guys all set?
We're good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Rec department update.
I have a printout, just so we're all up to speed. The first thing is the possible warrant article wording for next year to be prepared. So what's highlighted in red is, and I sent this last December, so I'd like to have this reviewed and considered as to whether this wording is appropriate or needs to be edited or corrected for us to approach this adjustment for the revolving fund, if this is what the select board might recommend and be on board with. We've been approaching this for like 3 years now, so. Yeah, if that could
Okay.
be reviewed and looked at and at some future time, I think it warrants some digestion. I just wanted to make sure that you all have that, and I am sending an email that it will be attached to, as well as all my other questions here. It was supposed to go out at 2 o'clock this afternoon. I didn't realize I hadn't sent it, so,
Okay, this has to be reviewed by legal.
yep.
So, yeah, email us
I'll email you the electronic copy of that. Sorry about all the gobbledygook of the other warrant articles, but I just wanted you to see what we've gone off of, and that's basically all I have
okay.
for that.
We should run it by DRA first.
Yeah, I'm wondering if this does have to be run by DRA. It's not an appropriation article, but it might have to be reviewed by DRA. So we'll check on that.
Yeah. Catherine Heck was really instrumental to bring to us the recommendation. It's not even suggested, but we have to word that very carefully. She gave us examples.
Yes, it has to be worded just
Yes.
right.
So
Catherine is a very smart lady.
she is extremely wise and helpful for us. So we've garnered a lot from her session with us. We're good for the next one then? I wanted to give you an update on our meeting with CIP for the tennis court resurfacing. We were able to meet with them last Wednesday. Lauren Judd has been appointed to be our liaison from the BAC to move forward with how we can work with the CIP. It would require a warrant article for the amount of money that it takes. The rec commission, just to know, in our last meeting unanimously voted to move forward. That's what our thoughts are. At the CIP meeting, there was quite a bit of other discussion and other things brought up. Number one, when it comes to the fence, which it's not just one place, but we've got a tree down, you know, and all. It was helpful because Kent was at the meeting, at the CIP meeting, so he could interject, as well as Tim was able to give us his past knowledge. Dan was there, and it was Kent, Tim, Dan, me, and Christine Robidoux back in 2021 that did that little tour, and then she did a very nice presentation. Anyway, fencing, and also the fact that the playground equipment has definitely needed to be reviewed for considering, there's just a bunch of things on the plate. So it's like, okay, we have the tennis courts and we also have the fencing and other things. So it needs to be considered as to what steps to take forward. I wanted to mention that there was a suggestion and an ongoing, or, you know, follow-up, that if this kind of warrant article and these kinds of repairs and resurfacing goes through, what types of measures could be taken for the upkeep of the area in general. The courts is one thing, and it was just kind of like pointed at us, the rec committee, as to, well, do you have this in your budget? Do you have a line item for, and no, we don't. And alls I said was, I'm still a little unclear as to the purview of who recommends this. You know, does the rec committee, you know, should it be on our agenda to make sure that we have a plan for continued upkeep of the tennis courts when it comes to the ball field? And there's questions of people wanting to have usage of it. It comes by us, but it's not us that does that. So I'm a little unknowing as to exactly what our position is.
Well, this is going to take an involvement of 4 groups. You guys, CIP, BAC, and the select board. The way this would most likely should be done is to set up a capital reserve fund like we do for a bunch of other things. That money goes into every year, that is then used to cover repairs and upgrades and stuff like that. So CIP can discuss that with you.
Mhm.
BAC will figure out the financing, and we'll work with that.
Right. And I feel good. We have Lauren. She's very good. She's very engaged. And I just thought I'd update you on that part of the conversation, because, you know, it's not a matter of overstepping bounds. I just want to be clear as to what
Yeah.
we
Now, it would be
should
the
be
rec
doing.
department's job to figure out what needs to be done, and then say, come to us and say, here's what we need to do.
Mhm.
And then we'd see if we have the funds out of the revolving fund or the capital reserve fund, or however this works out.
Yeah. I did reach out to the USTA, the New England region, and I have a contact for if there would be a possibility of any kind of funding that's available, or grants or anything like that for community tennis and stuff. I'll keep you updated.
Okay.
And that's,
We can also look at the town maintenance budget and make sure that we put funds in there to
Yeah, that's
take care
another,
of that. The problem we're having is we don't have anybody to do it. Now, we can
Right.
ask Kent if they could take it on like the cemetery and do it as part of their budget. We could add a line in their budget. They would spend time down there. It would be taken out of a separate account like we do the cemetery.
Mhm.
We could also hire somebody outside to go down in and I mean, God love highway, but there's 6-foot weeds in the back of the firehouse,
yeah,
you know?
Kent made it very clear that this, with the crew that they have, and it's just a lot of over.
Right.
And so we're totally aware of that, and it's good to have everybody be aware of what their constraints are. And it was suggested from the CIP standpoint that we could possibly reach out for bids from, I'm not going to name names, but I think there's already some people that have some engagement for town purposes of landscape.
Yeah, we've
repair in
discussed,
certain areas.
Any
So,
landscaper could give us a
Yeah.
bid on
Right.
maintaining down there, making sure
right,
right,
the grass is cut, the
Yep.
weeds are cut, the same with the municipal building.
everywhere.
and
Yep.
The same up here.
right. And it was
Because
mentioned in
they
other
go through the
areas.
Same thing, and they're looking at it over here and they don't
Yeah.
care.
So anyway, I just wanted to say they did support that and ask the question. I just didn't know if it should be on our agenda to discuss in our meetings as to whether one person is going to head up reaching out to different.
Well, that's up to you.
So-
That's your
So
problem, not ours.
if you'd like us to look into different places that could give a bid on something, or,
Yeah, I mean,
that-
the rec department, this is for the rec department. You guys should be driving this.
okay,
Okay, in conjunction with the CIP.
just
and
wanted to
BDC.
make sure.
Okay,
Next, I don't think there's anything more of that. We have a request and had voted on approving to request $200 for another Elvis show that will happen in January.
okay.
So that is something, if you could approve of that.
You have the funds?
Oh, yeah,
Okay,
we definitely have the funds.
yep, so put a written request in.
Yeah,
And
so-
we'll do it.
Yeah, I'm gonna send my email. Hopefully that'll be, I'll add that on that this is a request formally.
Because as you know, January, February and March are kind of no spend, no money months till the budget gets approved. So if
Well,
you
this is coming from the
already
Rev
have
fund.
money.
Yeah.
And you can allocate it to that. We don't have any problem signing
Yeah.
off on that.
No, it's from the Rev fund.
But if you're low on the Rev fund, we're gonna say no. I'm just
No.
letting you know.
We're
And if
we're
you
good
have
for
the
this.
money in the current year, in your current budget, and you want to spend it next year,
Next
you have to
year.
encumber it. We'll have to encumber it. So don't forget that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and I'll run that by Gretchen just to make sure what
Okay.
she says.
Okay.
Cruise night in August was rained out, and there's a request for being able to do one on September 9th and be able to use food that's wasn't being able to be used.
I know there is other stuff going on that weekend. What day is that?
It's Monday, the 9th, and I know that the 10th is election.
Yeah, they're going to be setting up in here. So
If there's, I'll be setting up in here. We won't need this.
yeah, we got a select board meeting, so
Oh,
that's
okay,
not going to work.
okay. All right. Let me see. Is there any other possible date that could
Look on
be
the
used?
town calendar, which is online.
Because maybe if it could be the next Monday?
Yeah, just
I,
look on the town calendar and see
Okay.
if it's open, and then
all right. Very good.
coordinate it with Carol, and then we'll figure out.
Good, thank you. TRC approval to allocate funds from income. So we have income from the music jam that happens once a month here. And I did run this question by somebody, but it's that group's desire with the fee that gets paid. It's a low fee, but it builds up to be able to contribute for necessary possible things here at the town hall. We'd like to support that. So
Okay.
the first thing that we thought of were pedestal fans. As in July, it was unbearable and we brought in our own fans. I know that space is very limited and I get that. But we're not the only group that comes in and might need some ventilation and stuff like that.
We've been talking about our next big upgrade to this place is going to be AC.
The AC.
Yeah.
Okay,
Not going to be cheap, but
right.
we should do it at some point.
Right, so kind of the more important thing about this is that there's a pathway that if the town hall committee or the select board
Right.
identifies something that is a need, and we could contribute, there is a pathway for that.
Yeah, sure.
Funding.
Temple Town Hall.
Yeah.
Advisory Committee is where to start on that one.
So in this specific instance, we had voted, it would be, we're okay, and we have the money in the Rev Fund for $100 for pedestal fans. If it is a thought that this is going to be moved on fast enough, and I pointed out, do we need to do this now because we're coming out of summer and stuff like that? There was a request that we, even if it's just marginal, like now, it's a desire to have some airflow.
Well, you
So-
could always, get them and bring them in when
Yeah.
you need to use them. Doesn't
Right.
require anybody other than you to.
Right, and coming up with the fans at the last minute and stuff like that, and having to bring your own personal is another thing, so. But if it's something that we would not be encouraged to do right now, I just need that answer, so.
I don't have any objection to it. See what the Town Hall Committee says. Storage is an issue here. But
That's a point, pedestal fans don't know where they would go.
yeah,
Storage and where the funds are gonna come from
right,
too.
from your,
Well, it would be the Rev Fund, we've already voted on that.
okay,
And, the music jam, we have money that builds up. So that's one thing that the participants really desire to be able to give back to the town, to the town hall.
okay.
So that was one thing. I did mention to Sandy when I spoke to her earlier, they're going to be having a town hall committee meeting. I thought there was something else he mentioned. So just to know, we have a desire to be able to contribute.
Okay.
And I was told there is a good way to funnel that through.
Yeah, either you can do it through them. If they don't want to do it, you can just do it yourselves.
Yep.
And
And then,
we'll figure out
present.
where to keep them.
okay, cool.
Okay.
To do approval for Rev Fund expense for purchase of T-shirts. We have a new logo. This is my last item. We have a logo that was made. I'll send you the picture of it. I think it might have gone up on our Facebook page. The members, the committee members would like to have T-shirts with that, so it identifies us at different events and stuff like that. So we wanted to have money allocated for that. That would come from the Rev Fund as well.
Okay, you've got the money.
So-
Just put the request in.
So I'll put the request in and that's that.
Yep.
All right, thank you.
Okay. Next up, we have a town hall fee waiver and special event application for the Lions Club 5K chip chase they do every year.
Thought they did that, well, they do it in January.
Yeah, I
right?
do it in January.
January 1st.
Yep, January 1st. Okay, see you later. Yeah, they do it January 1st.
Motion to waive any fee for the town hall for their event and motion to accept their application for a permit for a raffle.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, they're set. Intent to cut, Willard. I guess you can't sign it, George.
George, I thought oh, you like dirt, not trees, right?
What's that?
I said you like dirt, not trees, right?
Pass that to them. You
I
can
like
say.
both.
Man, you had Foley working there for a long time.
What's that?
You've had Foley working there for months.
Right.
How many trees you cutting?
Dave is doing a very good job down there.
Yeah, we've used him.
And I think he's all done down there. He's moving across 45 across the fields and up on the hill.
Huh.
So
Okay.
that
you're
would be visible from 45 too?
doing all this
Okay.
shit.
That'll be visible from 45?
Yes.
Okay.
Up to the top.
Anybody got anything else before we do minutes?
Yes.
Okay.
We've had the fire truck listed for sale, the bread truck, Rescue Rosie, for, I don't know, 2 months now.
Yeah.
I've got a bid of $1,700 is the highest. I had 2 guys fighting over it, and this is where we're at. I need permission to sell it. I don't know, we've tried, we've had it on the website. We've put an ad in the paper.
Yep.
Word of mouth has gone around from several people in town. And one of the townies would like to buy it. But their bid is $1,700. I don't know what you guys feel about that, but.
That's the best we're getting. That's the best
because,
we're getting.
Yeah, I mean, it's a 1978 Grumman
Yeah.
GMC bread truck, basically.
Yeah.
I mean, it has a rack in the back, but the tires on it are good. It doesn't have that many miles, but the speedometer doesn't work. The odometer doesn't work. The lights all work.
Yeah, I'll move that we,
The motor works, yes. The motor works.
I move we approve the fire department sale of the, what do you want to call it?
Rescue Rosie, the rescue truck that was taken out of service.
For $1,700. You want to second that, George?
I second that.
All in favor? Aye.
Abstain.
Okay. Anybody got anything else? If
Mrs.
not,
Kingston, I have a question for you.
okay.
Who is Jim
okay.
Frederick? Who is Jim Frederickson? You,
It was not Jim in the paper, it was from the other town.
oh,
I didn't have the name right. Yeah.
that's a transcript for you.
Ken, I just, I knew what I was gonna say when I was passing the microphone back to Gail. The only reason we didn't reach out to Antrim and Peterborough is because this is something that the school board can do without a warrant article. So the school board has the ability with no warrant article, like we had to have a warrant article, close Temple and Francistown and all that. The school board has within their purview the ability to consolidate because they're not losing Peterborough Elementary or Antrim wouldn't be losing Antrim Elementary. It is just a vote of the school board. Like it could be done immediately
You got-
and
you done
start
at
saving
that
money.
meeting.
So I wanted to give background as to why we didn't feel it was necessary to reach out to the other schools, but we will do that.
And I get that part.
Okay, I
But
just,
for me, if I was doing all this work and putting this all in, I would at least
let them know.
let them know.
Yeah.
Whether good, bad, or indifferent, how do you feel?
Yep.
And it's-
Something, anything.
I
it's
just wanted to make
possible-
the point
Possible
that,
this could influence Dublin's thinking too.
well, right?
If I
You know, I think
correctly,
it's just good because we all have to, we're all working towards the same thing.
Yeah.
Mm.
And if they have better ideas and they show it something
Yeah.
to us, then maybe we can, okay, maybe we won't do this, maybe we'll do this. But to not reach out, I don't think is the right thing to do.
Yeah,
I think,
no, totally get it.
right, wrong, or indifferent, I think we should reach out.
Yeah.
Whether it be good, bad, or however it turns out.
We will
At
be-
least we
we will-
reached out, at least
we'll
we
do
did
that.
our due diligence and
Yeah.
then give it to the school board.
Right. But they won't be losing their elementary was my only point.
Yep.
That's, yeah.
Okay.
and I think that even though the towns say they're gonna opt out, I think it's still the majority votes of all the towns, whether they can do that.
Right.
And even if they do, it won't start until 26.
Right.
So
It's a very complicated process.
it's a complicated process that probably shouldn't have happened.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sure. Minutes.
Night, Pam.
Anybody got anything on the minutes?
George, you got anything
Aye.
on the minutes?
I had no problems with the minutes.
A motion to accept as written.
Second,
All in favor?
Aye.
Anything else? If not,
Motion to adjourn.
second, all in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned.
All this chair, yeah.